Hey, I'm sitting here doing a reaction. The title of the reaction is "The Man Who Exposed the Crips and Bloods and CIA Connection to Crack Cocaine." When I started it off, I said, man, they might mention two of my partners, Rick or Melvin. I'm about 5 minutes in and they just mentioned Rick Ross, man. What you got to say about the CIA and crack cocaine real quick? Just give me a couple seconds.
It was some fucked up shit that the government was willing to sacrifice the black community to raise money for a war in Nicaragua.
Next with Net Hustle. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
All that and then some. To the end come, hit these YouTube streets, find a corner and bend one. We're going to pull up on the Joe Rogan podcast. Just the title of this video remind me of that time they was had like divorce court and the judge was telling the kind of fat black dude to check out her bailiff. He been married, happily married for 25 years. And the big old black buff better was standing over there like this. And the boy was like, "I'm sorry, judge, he don't look happy to me." Yeah, they flashed the screen and the old boy later on was on the news for knocking down his wife. And I don't mean breaking her back, giving her the business in the bedroom. I mean knocking her down, taking her life. So I don't know if it's to that extent or if it's going to remind us of that at all. And regardless, it reminds me of that up until this point. With no further ado, let's see what they say this dude that went on Joe Rogan, a meat nerderer, been up to.
On the 1st of February 2024, Sheldon Johnson appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience. 38 days later, he was arrested and charged with murder. It was episode 2096, with Joe Rogan, Sheldon Johnson, and another person named Josh Dubin. Josh had been on the podcast 6 different times before, explaining on an earlier episode that he was a lawyer who worked with wrongfully convicted felons.
We're here to get the word out about wrongful convictions.
In 3 out of 6 of Josh's appearances, he'd bring these wrongful convicts to tell their story.
He spent 3 decades in jail for murders that he didn't commit.
So when Josh brought in Sheldon Johnson, it seemed this would be another positive episode, but it quickly became apparent that Sheldon was slightly different.
I figured we'd do something a little bit different. Typically, the person sitting to my right is someone that was wrongfully convicted. Sheldon is guilty.
Sheldon had only just been released from a 25-year prison stint, but Josh had brought him on specifically as an example of someone who'd been given an unfair amount of time, believing Sheldon never deserved his 25 years in prison. Well, you can be the judge of that. Born 1975, Sheldon Johnson grew up in the Martin Luther King Jr. Towers, aka a poverty-stricken housing project in Harlem, New York City. His entire family tree had been in and out of prisons.
My father was incarcerated. He did about 15 years. I was incarcerated. My grandfather was incarcerated. My great-grandfather was a slave. And my son killed somebody when he was 12 years.
Damn, he threw the slavery in there, and everybody else was generations above him. He skipped beneath him and threw his son in there. Sheesh.
So,
While Sheldon was the only one in his family who had functional hearing.
my mother's deaf, my father's deaf, my sister's deaf, my aunt is deaf. I grew up in a deaf household.
Therefore, his father, a drug dealer, brought Sheldon along to help him translate deals, and by the age of 12, Sheldon had joined the exact same line of work.
I started selling drugs. Guy offered me an opportunity to be a lookout, and I would just stand there, and eventually I just slowly moved up the ranks. It turned me into this person that I was never meant to be.
As a result, he began to rack up charges.
Driving with
I mean, if anybody has an excuse for taking that path, this dude has an excuse.
without a license, standing on the corner, little small petty drug cases.
And spent most of his teens in the Rikers Island prison, although it'd be after his release at the age of 21 that things went downhill badly. He'd commit 2 different armed robberies, receiving a sentence of 50 years in prison, which Josh argued was incredibly unfair, given only one person received minor injuries.
He got hit in the head with the gun right here on the side of his head, and he got 2 stitches, and they gave me 25 years for that case.
Did you hit him in the head?
No.
Regardless, prison is where Sheldon realized he had to turn his life around.
It was at that moment I really said I have to change my life. I just can't do this.
Beginning a prison journal about hope, change, and reform. In his entry Letter to My Younger Self, it explained just because you're surrounded by violence does not mean that violence is the way to solve your problems. Sheldon, two wrongs do not make a right. Violence only begets violence. Learn how to respond and not react. In a different entry he'd state, as we know, I'm currently in prison, which I've learned does one of two significant things to its occupants. Brings the best out of them or the worst.
I saw individuals who were at their worst, and I saw guys who were at their best. The guys who were at their
I get Lord Jamar vibes off Dewey. Do y'all get the same? Just the same, like, voice, slightly look, but the voice and cadence of his voice.
best were guys who were involved in education, post-secondary education programs.
Realizing the role model prisoners were those with an education, Sheldon spent years educating himself.
I got into school, I got my GED, and then I went on to obtain my bachelor's in behavioral science from Mercy. I stopped smoking weed, I stopped smoking cigarettes. I started working in the law library. I discovered that I had a knack for complicated things, case law, and I was actually helping guys get out of prison.
He'd further add to his journal, I have grown dramatically in these 14 years, when I could have easily withered away. I've learned that I love Shakespeare, that I love acting, that I love writing, that I enjoy reading philosophy, that I love reading criminal law, that I love writing legalese. Sheldon had changed his life to such an extent, BuzzFeed advocated for his release back in 2016. He became a model inmate, said David Roth, the prison social worker. His days were so full that he went to bed exhausted and fell asleep immediately. As a result of his good behavior, Sheldon was released after 25 years of his 50-year sentence, appearing on a podcast called Success After Lockdown, on which he'd implied that he'd never go back to prison.
I'm reflecting, I'm saying to myself like, yo, I can't spend the next 50 years like this.
When he'd
Hella Lord Jamar vibes. Oh, mama.
appear on Joe Rogan 1 month later, Sheldon again implied that he wouldn't go back to jail.
Individuals who have been shown to acquire associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees are like 92% less likely to return back to prison.
With Josh using Sheldon as an example, that change was always possible.
How do you make change happen? He's living it and making it happen. Look at this beautiful mind and how he articulates himself.
He began working for the Queen's Defenders, helping troubled youth,
I'm trying to catch these kids before they fall, and I want to show them the way.
and even began to consider more formal education,
Sheldon asked me, should I go to law school before we came here?
in the process expressing his disbelief that he'd turned his life around.
I just came from the bowels of hell. 25 years in prison, and now I'm in the sky above the clouds in the heavens.
And you should not want to have lifted a finger of illegal activity, sir. Damn.
Headed to a destination to talk about change and to talk about all of the things that brought me to this place today.
Joe Rogan even posted a clip titled, "Sentenced to 50 years, Sheldon Johnson decided to turn his life around." However, Sheldon would make one final important claim.
But this is how fast your life can change from just one simple mistake.
This became reality only 38 days later.
He claimed that he had turned his life around after spending most of his adult life in prison. In fact, last year, he started working for the Queen's Public Defender's Office. Well, now he is accused of killing a man and then dismembering his body.
Sheldon was childhood friends with a man named Colin Small, with whom he'd also spent over 10 years in prison. Therefore, upon Sheldon's release, Small was helping Johnson get back on his feet. However, at some point, their friendship took a turn. On the 6th of March 2024, police received a call from a tenant who lived in New York, claiming to have heard 2 gunshots from Colin Small's apartment, as well as a voice begging, "Please don't, I have a family." Police drove over to the flat and knocked on the door, only to find Sheldon Johnson inside, who claimed that Colin Small had apparently gone upstate. Well, police searched the apartment and found half of Colin Small's body, finding the other half back at Sheldon's apartment, in addition to concrete and a Tyvek suit. CC
Ah, damn. Yeah, better stick to the innocent guys, old freedom lawyer.
TV outside Colin's apartment showed Sheldon Johnson entering and exiting, trying to conceal his identity with a range of different disguises. In one of these stills, he's seen wearing the exact same jacket as he was in a photo he took for the Queen's Defenders. Sheldon was therefore arrested and charged with Colin's murder, screaming "I'm innocent" as he was placed into the cop car. Sheldon maintained this innocence all the way to court.
Yesterday, Sheldon Johnson pleaded not guilty to the charges. He had quite a few supporters inside the courtroom
as the comments on his episode changed overnight. Imagine being locked up for being wronged by the system for over 25 years, only to prove that the system was right. Amazing. The judge who gave him 50 years must feel pretty smart right now. I really believed I was gonna die in prison. Well, you're not wrong, buddy. Sheldon's own father stated, "I'm surprised my son was arrested. I was shocked. He learned and studied in prison for 26 years. He is a good man. He was doing work in a law office. There were no problems, but I doubt nobody was as shocked as Josh Dubin." He ended Sheldon Johnson's episode stating,
I'm very thoughtful in who I bring on. I think this was one of the best ones yet.
but is still yet to talk publicly since Sheldon's new allegation.
Yeah, for those that don't know, they call that egg on the face. Shame.
Joe, on the other hand, talked about it recently.
He was guilty before, and we knew he was guilty, but he got 50 years.
Right.
And then he was talking about how he turned his life around, and this like a month after he was on the podcast, cut some dude's head off. Homie didn't understand new HD security cameras.
Theorizing that prison had only made him worse.
Was that because he spent 25 fucking years in jail, which is an insane amount of time to be locked up in a prison and then expect to acclimate.
I go by the name of G Fly like this. We getting rich off beats.
No matter what you do in life, whether doing wrong or doing right, make sure you do it right. My big brother doing life. No matter what you do in life, doing wrong or doing right, make sure you do it right. My big homie doing life.
When you left, your second was so young. On the set, I stay checking on your son. He banging, hate it, but I can't trip. Front hood Compton, at least cuz playing crib. Solid, strong, feel like you still with me. You can ask him, I still keep that still with me. Can't control him, we'll try to guide him. Provide him with game, keep it real when you ride him. The money, violence, the thrills inside him. Sound familiar? Yeah, a lot familiar inside him. It's in his genes to stay papered up. He be G, real clean and tapered up. Got him on what his granny and his mother need. Bleed and ride for him just like your other seed. Never dumb, you know I got a head on me. And I got cuz on the dead homies.
No matter what you do in life, whether doing wrong or doing right, make sure you do it right. My big brother doing life. No matter what you do in life, doing wrong or doing right, make sure you do it right. My big homie doing life.
Told the big homie I had him. Love him but barely know him. I could only imagine. Probably 21 on him. Whoop on him in Madden. Then roll up a fat one and show him what's happening. Teach him tactics to get it on his own too. Few tricks of the trade you turned the nigga on to. My behind him in the club, he be on too. My word, one thing you can hold on to. Love you, bro, just like D say. Me and Catman smoke big kush on your C day. He fit right in with the click on some G shit on daddy. That's who they finna find me with. Golden gloves, certified mitt hands on the land. Knock out like hitmans. Big bands, young nigga got a head on him. And I got cuz on the dead homies.
No matter what you do in life, whether doing wrong or doing right, make sure you do it right. My big brother doing life. No matter what you do in life, doing wrong or doing right, make sure you do it right. My big homie doing life.
I'm with my family. Talk to my sons, I talk to everybody, man. I'm just saying, going to deal with this fight, see what it is. I just want y'all to know, all this stuff is quagmire. Shit is all bull crap. I just need y'all prayers. I need y'all to... I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, neighborhood Nip Bustin'. Giving a shout out right now to SPR in the streets. Y'all already know what it is. Slauson there. Oh yeah, and don't forget to check my website out too. NipseyHustle.com, SlausonBoy.com, MySpace /Nipsey Hussle. Nip Hustle. Big shout out to SPR, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.